Happy Monday, LinkedIn, and today we are going over a question which I got last week from one of my viewers, which is how do you go over your champion's head and get to a decision maker without pissing them off, without basically jeopardizing that deal? And this is a really good question, and I think it warrants a video. So I'm going to give you a few tips on how to do that. The first thing is you should know your champions are essential in terms of getting a deal done. It's not the executive that actually has to walk you through their current process, their current pain, their challenges, all the discovery that goes on with a company that gets to a business case, or all of the things that really drive people to make changes. It's not always done at the executive level. The executive will tell you what they want, why they want it, why it's important, but then they're going to pass you down typically to a champion. So the key is that you start at the executive. You can always go down to a champion level or kind of VP director, but you want to start at that C-suite and then leave the door open and say, hey, I'm going to work with your VP or your director, but I'd like to come back and present our findings to you when we're ready to deliver recommendations. Is that okay? So you want to start high, go back down in the middle, and go back up. If you can't do that and you're stuck, or you're starting at that middle management level to begin with, and you know the executives are needed either to move a deal forward or to fund the deal or whatnot, that's what I'm going to talk about now. So if you can't get with the senior executives, but you do get a meeting in the middle, you find an opportunity and that opportunity is stalled because you don't have the true decision maker there, here's what you do. Before you ever present numbers, before you ever present your solution, you ask your champion, who has to sign off on this? Is it your boss? Is it your boss's boss? Who else? My experience has been that when we get them all together to present, it's the most effective way to help you get this improved internally, because they're going to have questions. They're going to, want to get more details. And when we're all together, they can get their questions out. They can meet us directly, and they can have, that direct line to me and to my company. And that's truly effective. So always make sure your champion invites the decision maker for that presentation. And I like to prep with that champion before the presentation because I want to empower them. I want to tell them, hey, I'm going to give you a first look at this so we can polish it, make sure it's ready for, your senior executive on that big day. So I wanted to call that out. Now, if they're not willing to do that, they're probably not your champion. If they're not willing to bring in their boss for that presentation, but you always should ask. If they say, no, it's got to go through me first, that's fine. But typically then it'll stall, it'll not go anywhere. So what you want to do at that point, if it's stalled, is you want to always try to see if they can arrange a meeting with their boss to help unstall the deal or help ultimately address any unstated objections that might be coming up, but try to work through them. If you can't work through them whatsoever, then you can reach out to the executive and say, hey, I am working with this person. Here's what we found. In order for us to move forward, I think it's really important for you to be involved, since this is hitting these key areas, which I know are very, very important to you. And so you want to, when you reach out, give them background of what's already done and why it's important that they get engaged. Maybe it's to complete a business case. Maybe it's to understand goals and objectives that you don't have yet in your proposal. Maybe it's to understand what's important to them to make sure your company is aligned to do what's important. But again, make that request to your executive in light of, use all that information that you gained in the discovery, all that information, surface it to the executive as a reason why you need to meet. And I always would say something like, I've been working with your team, they've been great. However, what I found is things are stalled right now, and I think it'll be really important to gain your perspective on what's most important. Maybe we're not focusing on the right things. Maybe you have something that's more top of mind, but we want to be of value and make sure this is correct. Would you mind if we meet? I can walk you through what we've done before, get your input, and ensure that we are tracking properly to what matters most to you. So make it all about that executive, remind them of what you're doing. And again, first and foremost, always try and give your champion 2, 3, 4 times to get you in front of the executive. If they're simply not effective, if they're not getting that meeting, you're going to know it because it's going to stay stalled for a week, a month, a quarter, and you're going to just have to reach out directly. Don't be afraid to reach out directly because, again, if they're not involved, you're not going to get a deal for the first place. So you don't have anything to lose. If you think you're going to lose a deal by pissing someone off, you're not. Okay? Because that person hasn't done anything to help you or your cause or your company. So you got to help yourself in those situations. Hope this is helpful, you guys. Have an awesome week. Cheers.